Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the LDARC DJ220 5-inch drone here, and I guess you could kind of classify this as a freestyle drone or maybe a cinema drone. I think what's interesting with this one is that they have a version that comes like this with the DJI air unit already installed, or you can get one without the air unit installed if you already have one, and that obviously cuts the cost of the air unit, which is about $180. And I think that's like I think without the air unit it's like around 150, I believe, 160, and then with the air unit I think it's like around 310 or 320, something like that. The price is variable a bit, so check the links down below. But if you already have an air unit that you want to transfer out of another model, which is very easy to do, by the way, so you can, I know a lot of guys want to fly multiple drones and they just transfer the air unit back and forth, and it's very simple to do in this one as well. And yeah, it's a good way of like saving costs in terms of not having to buy a whole drone with another air unit in there. You can save some money that way by just transferring around. But it's pretty simple. You just take the top off, these screws in the back here, and these two standoffs here, and then the camera goes into the front here, and it comes with these rubber grommets and plastic mounting plates for the DJI camera. It also comes with a 19mm mounting plates if you want to do like a RunCam hybrid or some sort of other setup if you are not going to be doing DJI. So this can do analog as well, and I think the analog version, which I don't believe was listed on Banga, does come with a VTX. But if you just want to get the the so-called DJI version here and add a VTX in the back, you can convert this to analog very easily and to put an analog camera in the front there, because it does come with the parts for that. But it's very simple. You take the top off, you basically stick the air unit back here, and it's actually, I didn't actually use any of the the double-sided foam tape that holds it in. It actually stays in pretty well. It does move around, so on a really hard crash it might come out, but it doesn't twist. It just kind of rocks back and forth like this. And then I did have to kind of push the capacitor out of the way. It was a little bit in the way here, and it does get in the way of the battery strap here. The battery strap is a iFlight battery strap, because the one that comes with the drone doesn't have a buckle. It's just like a Velcro, two pieces of Velcro, which is very weak and probably will snap in a crash. So I would recommend putting a different battery strap on here. Now the stack on here is kind of unusual, and it's right there. So you have a F4 flight controller. It's a 30x30 and a 30x30 D-Shot 600 ESC. It's 40 amps bursting to 45 amps, so it's only up to D-Shot 600. And if you can see, it's got a USB-C connector there. It does have a BEC for 9 volts for the air unit, and does have the plug for the air unit already soldered on. Everything, it basically is just completely plug and play. You don't have to do any soldering at all if you're going to be using the DJI controller. There's also another plug for a separate receiver if you want to use that. I think it's right there. You can see that there. But of course, I'm just using the DJI controller, so I didn't have to solder on an extra receiver. So if you're not using a different controller, you just plug the mount the air unit, plug it in the back, obviously put the antennas in, and mount the camera, and then you can go and fly. And obviously put the props on here. I didn't do any tuning. I didn't touch any of the PIDs. I just put in the modes for my transmitter in there, and my rates. Couple things here. The bind and fly version that already comes with the air unit, these antennas have some heat shrink here around these little posts, and it was not included in the one you build here. So I don't think it's going to be a super big problem, because I mean, it's not likely these are going to get caught in the props unless you have a really bad crash. But you may want to add your own heat shrink here. I didn't do that because I'm going to probably move the air unit over to something else pretty soon. And then, of course, this can be top mounted for the battery, or you can also bottom mount the battery. So there's some foam here, which is basically for battery protection. You can see the slots here for a battery strap. You can run that through here. And then if you want to run the battery this way, you can. If you want to run a really big battery, so if you want to turn this into like a long flying cinema drone, you could do that and put your GoPro up top here. Now there's no good GoPro mounting solutions I can see with this front mount for the DJI camera, so you'll have to come up with some sort of third-party or 3D printed solution for that. or mounted basically back here. There's a couple, there's obviously many different options you can take for the mounting of a camera up there, but plenty of space for a bigger battery on top if you want to do that. And you can just run the XT60 back here. Shouldn't be any, it's short enough it's not going to get into the props back here, so it should be okay with that. So the motors on here, pretty standard 5-inch motor for 4S. It's a 2306 2500 kV. You can see it's got their silver windings that they've been putting in their recent motors. I'm not sure if that's any benefit or not. The Gem Fan 51499 props, and only one set came in the box. And this is how much it weighs. No battery, 372 grams. The battery I flew this with is a 4S Tattoo R-Line 4S battery, 1800 milliamp hours, and with this battery the total weight came to 571 grams. And with this battery, if you run it all the way down, you can probably get a good 7 or 8 minutes. I didn't really run it all the way down because this is a pretty big battery, and you could probably even run a 2200 on here. So you can kind of see how big this battery is compared to the space on the top plate. You can put a huge battery up in the front, or even put one on the bottom, or on top and bottom, and possibly fly for 20 minutes if you really wanted to. Yeah, of course, the more battery, the more weight you put on here, the less acro freestyle capability you're going to have. You can do a little bit, I mean, even with this 1800, it's pretty heavy. You can do a little bit of flips and rolls and that kind of stuff, but I kind of consider this more like a cruiser, maybe something just to fly like maybe further away, because you can't fly further away with the DJI controller. Do a little more exploring in some like larger areas. This might not be bad for something like that. Just a couple more notes here on the frame. Is kind of unusual is they've kind of pushed this DJI cam a little bit more forward here so that you don't get the props in the view of your FPV feed, but they don't have the stack here in the center like you would find normally back here. And obviously they wanted to push the airing unit more forward as well. I'm not exactly sure why they did that. Maybe they wanted to save weight. Because normally you would put the area unit a little bit further back, or maybe behind the camera here. I think behind the camera might have been better, and then have the stack here more central. Or you could put the area unit central here if you want to sort of keep the CG balance, and then put the stack into the back. So yeah, it's this wouldn't be my first design choice where they put it, because then you got some unusual screws and some weird spots here, as you can see, for where you're mounting the arms as well. So yeah, it's just a strange design. With the battery in here in the middle, it is balanced, so maybe they did that for CG reasons. I just find it odd that the air unit is pushed forward here like this, and normally you would find it a little bit further back with a stack centered here so that you don't have all these extra wires moving forward there. You can see there because of where the ESC is compared to where the wires come in from the arm. So that's just a strange design decision that they made on their part. It doesn't really affect the flying. It just affects the way the design of the frame is, and I think possibly it's adding a little bit more weight. It's kind of hard to tell unless you actually redesign it and then put all the same parts in there and see if there's a weight difference. It's probably not that much of a difference. Anyway, guys, if you're looking to get into a 5-inch DJI and you have an air unit lying around you want to use, and it's very easy to transfer into this model. It's pretty easy to set up and go. It didn't really do anything. Flies okay. It's got pretty good pitch tune, no serious vibrations or any kind of weird tendencies, and it was up and running in like 5 minutes. So pretty easy setup. With that said, I'll go ahead and show you the flight footage. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Alright, so I'm not going to do anything too crazy with this thing. It's, I consider this more or less a cruiser. Probably can do a little light acro with it. I bet if you carry a battery on both the top and the bottom, you could probably fly this for a really long time. I'm not going to deplete this 1800. It's it'll probably go, we'll have to see, maybe 6-7 minutes. But a little break in the wind today. It's been awfully windy lately, so we can get a nice little smooth flight in. Not a lot of camera angle, so I'm kind of cruise around here. Everything's completely stock tune, stock everything. Haven't changed the tune at all. Oh, the wind's starting to pick up a little bit here. And you guys will be seeing the onboard recording. I believe it's set to 16.9. Actually, it looks like in the goggle 16.9. The wind's trying to push me around a bit. Alright, so let's try to get a little lower. Alright, it's not as bad down here. Yeah, if you guys want to get smoother sticks, just add some expo or lower your rates. I believe these are just stock Betaflight rates. So it could be smoother. But don't hear any oscillations or vibrations, don't see any vibrations in the video. It looks pretty smooth. This is going to be a pretty good exploring type of 5-inch quad. You could probably put an HD camera up there in the front if you want to get like GoPro footage, for example. Although I haven't seen any GoPro mounts on Thingiverse yet, so we'll see how long I keep this. Maybe I'll make one. Shouldn't be too hard to put one together. But this is a nice little area to just kind of cruise around. They finally cleaned up all the weeds, and looks like more people are starting to go back to work now, so not as many walkers. Yes, I'm at 15.4 volts. About 3.5 minutes. So yeah, at least 6 minutes, 7, possibly 8 minutes if you're just cruising around like this. For sure you can get pretty good flight time. This is an 1800 4S. Alright, let's see what happens when we do a flippy floppy. It's fine. Alright, let's try and orbit this tree. You can probably hear that in the background. I mean, the props sound good. There's no weird oscillations that I can hear. Yeah, it's totally controllable. So the tune out of the box, totally fine in my book. It's acceptable for a bind and fly. Now if you want to do racing with this or some serious like bando freestyle, this is probably not the drone for you. You probably want something different. But this kind of flying, not a problem. Gonna push it a little bit more in these turns. Still don't hear anything, don't see anything. Yeah, it can do a little mild accurate, I think. Shouldn't be a problem. "15 volts, 5 minutes and 17 seconds. Alright, so we got a pretty good idea. This one is what this thing can do, what this is for, and it seems like it flies okay out of the box. No changes whatsoever, just added the air unit as I mentioned before. So if you're looking for, if you already have an air unit and you just want to add it and just go fly, this model will fit the bill for that. Anyway, guys, almost 6 minutes of flight here, 14.9 volts. Let me know what you guys think.